Hello and welcome back to another episode of Building a Computer in Minecraft. In the last episode, what did we do? We worked on, oh yes, I showed off the computer and it's finally finished. Well, to an extent, I mean, it is finished. It didn't turn out how I wanted it to, but what I was trying to do was very complicated, and we'll go ahead and talk about it. The first thing we need to talk about and address is that this map is actually wrong. This is twice as big as it actually is. So let's go ahead and take a look at the real map, which I've updated recently. So, over here we have the true map, and as you can see, it is actually way bigger now. It's twice as big as this guy. It is literally twice as big, if not even bigger. And you may be wondering, what is all this stuff over here? Why is this necessary? Well, if we don't count this, it's still a little bit bigger than that thing. And, theoretically, you can keep extending this part, this golden part out, and this blue part out, and it will keep running those. So, very cool stuff. Let's go ahead and talk about it now. So yeah, this is the whole thing here. And you may be wondering, why I chose to do this for the monitor. Well, I was working on a actual LCD panel kind of thing, which would display, you know, a point at certain coordinates, but I realized my system that I built would not work with that. Instead, we have a calculator, basically. A giant calculator. But it doesn't actually calculate in a number system that most of us are familiar with. This number system is actually quaternary, which is not hex, and it's not anything similar to hex. Well, actually, it is kind of similar. It is a multiple of 4. So let me go ahead and show you all the graph for quaternary. So over here, this is where I was experimenting with all kinds of crazy stuff. We have converters, we have wacky stuff over here, but let's not get ourselves carried away. We're going to be looking at the graph. So here we have a graph of binary, and this is quaternary. So a binary 1 is going to be a quaternary first digit. So it's going to be a 1. This would be a binary 2, this would be quaternary 2. But instead, this actually has to be the value 2, not just like a digit 2. 3 is 3, and then you carry over in binary, which would be a 4. So in quaternary, you also carry over because you can, in most bases, you only go to like the number before you carry over, and then this is technically 4. So that'd be in the 4's place, and this is the 1's place. And I guess the next one's the 8's place, or maybe 16's. I don't know. I'm not too sure. And I don't really know how to calculate this. But basically, if you look at that graph, then you only need 2 binary inputs to convert it, which is why it made this way simpler, because I wouldn't have to do, I mean, hex would have been simple. I would have only needed 2 LCDs if I used hex, but we don't actually have hex. We have base 15. You only get up to 15, and then you can't even carry over. I would have to do a lot of work to actually get hex to work, so if you look at this graph, basically we can only count to 1, 2, and then 3 before we have to carry over in this, and in binary, we take, for 1, 2, and 3, there's only 2 columns that are active in those, so that means I could hook 2 lines up and get a quaternary output from that by converting it using these guys over here, and you may be wondering, what the heck is going on with these? Well, converting these things is not very difficult. We just take hoppers that are filled up a bit, and when we get a desired output, for example, let's say this is 1, so that will output a 1 through a red coder over here, which red coders are simple, but that's a 1. If we take another input over here, because this one has a value of 2 in binary, so if this one is active and this one is not, then this should be a 2. So we'll go and demonstrate that, and as you can see, it's just 2 over there. So it converts from a binary 2 to a quaternary 2, and then if they're both true, it should be a 3, which, boom. You see in the time-lapse, I did actually add a new thing over here, and you may be wondering, what on earth, what is this doing? This just runs each line. It's very simple. Runs each line of code. And at the end, it gets locked on the last one. So whatever you want the last output to be, which is usually a read command, will get locked on that one. How does it work? It's complicated. But basically, we have the green input going into an RS NOR latch, and I had to do a bunch of things with the red one, because the red one is the reset switch. It needs to flip this piston back to normal. So it has to cycle the buffer here, and basically I just read a buffer to actually get the pistons to go. So we'll go ahead and reset the whole thing, and then we'll go ahead and do some simple equations, because this machine really hates complicated stuff. So I'm going to do a hard reset with this lever, and then we're just going to go ahead and flip. As you can see, the numbers are going to change through a bunch of different phases, because of all the stuff it's calculating. This thing is so cool. It's down to 0 now. We're set. As you can see, the last piston is unlocked now, and it's been pushed back up, which is good. And this is the whole programmable system. It's whack. You got a bunch of these guys, torches and things. Now over here, we should only have a 1 and a 2. And you may be wondering, how do I get such a weird number from this? Well, it's just the number of operations I'm doing. I guess it messes the whole thing up. And also, sometimes these pistons do wacky stuff. I mean, look at this one. It spat out its block. And this one too. They didn't get a single tick of them. I don't even understand why they do this half the time, and I thought this was fixed. But yeah, they should be fixing themselves. No clue why they're not, but I guess that's how it is. And I was gonna say, it seems like most of these lines are actually good, but this one had to be bad. Oh, and over here, it's also bad. I really want to make sure these numbers are accurate as possible. I don't see why these pistons need to be on all the time. So this is one of the problems with the new computer, is that the ROM, the write command is just, the register for the write command is just bad. It's terrible. Look at this. I mean, look how many pistons need to be reset. Hold on, let me just hard reset the whole thing again. Hang on a second. I know why it's not actually resetting. Very well. So, actually, to get the reset right, I'm gonna need to make a new line of ROM. So, over here we have the ROM, and you may be wondering, what exactly this does? Well, we slap a torch on it, and it does what we want it to do. So, in the case of this ROM, for the reset, I just want it to pull all the pistons back up, because the pistons are doing bad stuff. So boom, there we go, I got all of the torches in, so that should be every single piston, and now we just need to put a fix command in there. So that's the fix command, and then we'll just run the reset program. Which now, we simply just need to press this button. And that should do the whole thing. Whole reset. And if it loops, that's bad. Okay, it doesn't loop. So starting in row 3 here, we actually have our first line of code, which saves a, from a ROM. And then we have B, which gets saved from a ROM. And then we're just going to do something simple with these two things, and we're just going to add them up. Basically, A plus B is going to be 3. Is what I'm hoping should happen, and if we don't get that output, then I failed. Okie dokie, let's go ahead and press the run command. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at this while it does the run command. As you can see over there, the clock is gonna fire the input, which we're gonna go ahead and check that out. As you can see, it's just going through these, and it's just cycling through them one at a time, doing each line at a very, very slow rate. The reason why is because I want to make sure everything has time to happen before the next line gets read. So once it gets to the end here, this torch will get locked and flip over to this one. So you need to hard reset it to actually fix it. And then boom, it's locked into place. So it's reading the very final output, which is nothing, because we didn't have a final output. So I'm just going to hit the reset button and then write in a few more lines. And then I'll be back. Over here we got A, and then plus B. Then we have a save to C command. So save to register 3. Technically it's register 3, but that's a read command, not a proper command for saving. So boom, and I'm not sure why it had save to B all over it. I guess I kind of messed that one up. I kind of goofed that one. That should be. Oh dear. Oh no. Okay, it's fine. We aren't reading any code yet. Are these all save commands? I hope these are not all save commands, because I probably just goofed up again. And we don't want a save for B. We want to read for B or C. So the sum of A and B is going to give us the output saved into register 3. Then we're gonna read register 3 for every other line. Very, 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 very simple program we have here. And a very, very complicated machine we have here. We need to reset again. It looks like we have numbers on there, that's the error code. Sometimes there's an error code. It's kind of whack. There we go, back to normal. Run, computer! Ah. Okay, let's go ahead and see what happens. So we should get the A and the B saved to 3, but we're not actually going to see any of that happening. So now it's 2. It's reading register 3, so register 3 must be 2 then? Unless... I don't even know. Maybe one of the inputs is busted. Probably. This thing has tons of issues. So it should be reading the register for that one. Register 3. Still doing it. It's getting like a 1-tick pulse between firing. Alright, press the run command, and we're gonna head over to here to the register and watch as it does its thing. So it's saving A now. It's saved. Yeah, it saved A. It's saved B. It's now reading both A and B, and then this register should unlock for the save command, and it's not saved at all. It is not saved. I saved the wrong lines. Oh my gosh. I'm confident it won't fail me now. I'm just gonna go with it. And I'm gonna hope that this gives us 3. Or gives us 1 in the next place. I honestly don't even know if it's gonna happen. But if it does happen, it's gonna happen. I'm sure of it. 2. That's good. That's close enough. Please don't fail me now. I've spent long times making you work. So hopefully you give us the right output for saving it into the register. Hopefully you saved it into the register this time, my friend. It would be bad if you didn't. Man, I didn't even get to talk about my next projects because all of this failure today. This episode is extra long. You're all enlightened now with extra time. What happens when I have extra time in my episodes? This happens. And it failed. Alright, so obviously, as you all can tell, this is a very temperamental system. It really hates to work properly. Well, let's go ahead and check to make sure the registers are all good. Just because I always know that the registers, they really hate being normal. They really like to quasi-conduct and do wacky stuff. I think I need a better register design. One that's a solid state design, but I can actually perform every single function on it that I need to do to have a good register. Okay, here we go. So are we gonna get the number 2 today? Number 1. That's 3, 2. Yes, it's doing something. 1. B is 1. So A is 2. It's just not doing anything right now. It's doing some switching. It's going over to the next one. As you can see, it's 0. But it did successfully complete its mission in those two seconds that it was outputting the proper number on the display. I am happy with that. I am very happy with how this thing has worked. So now, it outputs a 1 for its B, and for A, it should output a 2. Apparently. Never mind. A is 1. So you've heard it here first, folks. A is 1. And we have successfully created a machine that is temperamental and disgusting. So, I'll see you all next time. If you all have enjoyed today's episode, please consider liking and subscribing. If you guys got any comments, questions, or suggestions, leave them down below. I'll see you all next time, and goodbye. We didn't have much time to do anything today because this machine was being temperamental.